Morning. I hope that this day, this week is off to a good start for you. I know that our worship was wonderful yesterday, and we know that this is an opportune time for us to do a reevaluation of a lot of things spiritually. And so my message to you today is about one simple idea. I want to simply say, it's time. We've known that it was coming. When the pandemic started and when we were first isolated from one another, when we stopped having in-person worship services together, we knew that that was a temporary thing. We knew the day would come that we would all get back together. And we were also wise enough to know that it wouldn't happen all at once. It wasn't going to simply be a major pandemic and all of us separated from one another one week and the next week we all come back together. We knew that it would be kind of a slow trickle back, and in fact that's exactly what it has been. But we've also known that there would come a time after most people had started worshiping with us again, there would come a time that we would be able to say to everybody, it's time to come home. And so that is my message to you today. It's time. It's time to come back. We've spent a year being socially separated from one another. Now, we've been able to conduct worship services, and we've been able to do online, our live streaming services, things like that. But as our numbers continue to grow in coming back, it simply becomes more and more obvious that we've reached that point that it's time for us to say to all people, it's time to come home. A lot of people have been hesitant and in fact may still be hesitant about coming back to worship until the numbers are even lower than they are now, or until we've had enough people vaccinated, or both. But our numbers are down and a lot of people are vaccinated. So again, I say, I think it's time to come home. Now, I know some may still not be ready, but here's my concern. The longer that you are not participating in worship in person with other Christians, the easier it is to stay away permanently. And that, in fact, would be a very sad result of this pandemic that we've been through, for someone to have once been faithful and yet, because of this period of time, to decide that they're not going to ever come back. Now, nobody is going to be able to tell you what to do. This is certainly a personal decision on your part, whether you are back or not. But let me give you some of my reasoning why I want to say to you today that the time has come. First of all, I start from Scripture. Hebrews 10:25 says, "Do not forsake the assembling of yourselves together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." It is a God-designed thing for us to be together. It was His intention from the beginning. And people have always come up with reasons why they need to stay at home. It's easy to do, especially in our busy world today. But they are simply excuses when people simply make them up when there's not a good reason to be here. Now, sometimes people are sick. Understandable. Someone who is sick should not be here. That would be an unkind thing to do for others. But maybe there's some other things as well, I guess. But the plan is, God's plan is, that we are together on the first day of the week. Look at Acts 20, verse 7. They came together on the first day of the week, and the language involved there tells us it was the first day of every week. That's what Christians did. It was the carryover from the idea in the Old Testament that we are to keep the Sabbath day holy. Well, we don't worship on the seventh or the Sabbath day. We worship on the first day of the week, as did the early Christians. But it was always God's design that God's people would gather because there's strength in our numbers. And the more we are together, the stronger we become. You see, it's God's plan. And it's good for you. And it's good for us. It's encouraging in every way for us to come together and share the, as Hebrews 10:25 says, to share the encouragement that we get. The truth is that we receive encouragement when we're together that can't be received in any other way. I'm grateful that we've had live streaming. I'm grateful that we have amazing electronic communications the way we do. But nothing is a substitute for Christians gathering together face to face and being able to enjoy one another as we turn our minds together to God. Secondly, we come together because it demonstrates our priorities. Of course, it is fun to go to the lake. Of course, it's fun to sleep in. In all sorts of ways, there are benefits of being somewhere else other than with Christians on Sunday morning. You can always find benefits. But what are we living for if we substitute God's plan for something of our own choosing? The fact is that when we choose to be together with other Christians on the first day of the week, it demonstrates what our priorities are all about. Third thing is that it makes a statement to your family and to your friends about your faith. When you decide that you will be here, when you are actually participating in worship, it's a healthy thing for everybody who knows you. Your children need to see you committing to attending worship. And let me say, no matter how old they are, even if they are grown and out of the house and live some other place, they need to know that you are practicing your faith by being present with other Christians. Your friends need to see you committed to something, committed to attending worship. And it's interesting how much they know about you. Certainly it should be your life should be an open book to them. And when you are committed to worshiping with other Christians, it shows in your life. And so your friends benefit from knowing about that commitment. And the community needs to see us together. The larger our number is together, the stronger the statement is that we are making to the community around us. When our parking lot is filled, those that are driving by our worship service during that period of time, they look at that and they say, wonder what's going on there. I wonder if I ought to be there. It's a strong, powerful statement when there's a large number of us gathered together because we're saying something to the community around us about how important it is for us to be together. And finally, fourth, being together, committing to that, and then actually coming to worship together is a spiritual discipline that grows even more spiritual discipline. Yes, it takes extra effort to get up and to get your family ready and to be here. Yes, it takes extra effort to invest your heart and your mind in worship. But when we exert extra effort in a spiritual discipline, we become something better than we were before. And so here is this simple decision to make and this simple act to do, to come and to be together with other Christians. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to preach at you so that you feel guilty. I'm simply saying that Christians, we've been through a lot. This pandemic has been hard on everybody. But one of the things that we've learned is that it's important for us to be together. And so here is this opportunity. This isn't Pat telling you what you should do. This is simply God's will unfolding in ways that benefit all of us. And now is the time. Our numbers are growing here, and it's such a pleasure, it's such a joy to be together. I think there is a newfound joy in our worship. It seems as though the songs are better and the prayers are more focused, and the whole time that we have together is simply a better experience because we've experienced what it is like to not be together. So here we are as a family, and we want you part of that family. I hope to see you in worship very soon. If you're living in some other place and you're listening to this, I hope you are invested in worship where you are. But church, it's time. I'll see you Sunday. Bye.
They resound with God's own heart. Oh, let the ancient words impart words of life.